Hi, everybody, and welcome to our Safer Together podcast. I'm Justin Shaw, Chief of Police, Indiana Police Department, and Safer Together, all about the partnerships in Indiana County that make us better able to serve each other every day. And truly, we are all better and safer together. And today, my podcast conversation is with Indiana County District Attorney Robert Manzi. DA Manzi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you, Chief?
I'm great, thank you. And the police. Every police agency in Indiana County, and really every police agency in the state of Pennsylvania, works through the chief executive law enforcement officer of the county, which ends up being the district attorney. And so I wanted to bring awareness to the fact that how closely your office and our police department work, and truly how your office and every police department in Indiana County works together to bring successful outcomes to our community. So I think the best place to start would be maybe if you could just tell us all about what a day in the life of the district attorney of Indiana County is.
Okay, so there really isn't a general day where, hey, that's every day for a district attorney's office. Just to give you an idea, the district attorney is in charge of representing the Commonwealth in all criminal cases that arise out of Indiana County. We also handle PFA violations as indirect criminal contempts in court. We work with investigations that are ongoing, whether they be short-term investigations or long-term investigations. We'll work in juvenile court. We work with federal partners with regards to Drug Task Force and FBI Safe Streets in our area. We'll work with other counties because crime doesn't just stop at a geographic boundary. So we're working with all of the district attorney offices and law enforcement offices that surround our county. In Western Pennsylvania, we have a very large group that works together with some of the technology we have. So, any given day we could be anywhere. Yesterday I started in the Court of Common Pleas arguing motions. I ended up in Katanning with a police academy team working on CIT, which is mental health training for officers. Began, working on investigation and improving charges back in my office. Today I'm in district court. I might be at a senior center doing a program for scam prevention. We're here today talking with the chief. So, there really isn't a day where it's just going to be the same every day.
Yeah, I think that the job of the district attorney and the job of the police chief are fairly similar in that we go where the emergency is and where the need is, and that as much as we can script a day, most of the things that happen are unscripted and impossible for us, no matter how much we want to get in front of them, impossible for us to predict.
Oh, absolutely, and really prioritizing. We may be having our coffee going into the office going, all right, I'm going to take care of X, Y, Z, and those plans can quickly change.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I don't know when the district attorney is ever off, because when I come into my office, his car is always there very early in the morning, and when I leave, his car is always there very late in the afternoon, and I know that he comes in all sorts of hours. So I know that there's a lot going on in your world, and I know that you and I are both trying to blend personal life and professional life, and sometimes we get to see the best of society, and sometimes we get to see the worst of society. And but really, it's important. I want to, as chief, to convey to everyone in Indiana County how important District Attorney Manzi and his office is to the well-being of crime victims and the general well-being of our community. The mission of the police department in Indiana is to provide the highest level of service possible to enhance the quality of life of our community with a focus on peace, safety, and comfort. And truly, we have no better partner than the District Attorney's office in service to victims of Indiana County. And so I appreciate everything that you do, and I want to make sure that continues to be emphasized, that we work very diligently together, you and I, but also you and all of the police officers, and also your staff and the police officers, and your staff has always been great to me, and extremely user-friendly. But also I want everyone to know that we have an opportunity to work together from the district attorney's perspective and from the police department's perspective. Sometimes we get a chance to collaborate before a case even gets off the ground. And other times we're calling each other in the midst of a case. And other times we're talking to each other after a case. But there's never been a time where the district attorney or his office has been unavailable to any police officer in Indiana County, and I think that that's extremely important. And I want everyone to know that we're all in great hands. So let's talk a little bit about what happens sometimes before a case. And for best outcomes to exist, we need to be in conversation with each other. And I truly believe that makes it safer together. And your perspective is that I believe, I don't want to speak for you, but your perspective, at least as I sense it, is that it's better for us to be in constant contact than it is for us to be talking after the fact. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And you talk about contact even before a case.
Yep.
And I think when I hear before a case and when I think before a case, it's before a crime even happened. So many times where we're going to, the senior center
Yep.
here in Indiana Borough,
Yeah.
and we're talking about scams and scam prevention. When we're working with the school districts and working with the students, talking about social media and the troubles that can happen online and how to protect yourself. And we go to parent engagement meetings,
Yep.
and we're talking to parents about what we're seeing. It's really talking from both departments and saying, what can we do to stop crime from happening in the first
Yeah.
place, which is ideal.
Yep.
And the more and more we're able to do that, the better. And the nice part is that you might hear something in the community, I might hear something in the community. When I look at our messages back and forth, I think I was texting you last night at 10 o'clock about something. I mean, it's always just trying to, when we talk about before that case, that constant communication really keeps everybody up to speed on what's going on. I know what you're doing, you know what I'm doing, and we're really able to address an issue before it becomes anything necessary in the criminal justice system.
Yeah, that is true. Well, number one, we're completely accessible, and number two, I think our best method of keeping everyone safe is to prevent everything that we can prevent from happening. If we never had to file a criminal charge because everything was safe and sound in the community, I think that we would both consider that a win, because litigating these things, it's bringing service and justice to the victim. But if we can prevent it from happening, if we can prevent a victim from even being victimized or a person from being victimized, I think we're operating at our best.
Yeah.
And
100%.
yeah, so not that this is a polarizing concept, but I think that it's worth talking about. That I truly believe that not every circumstance is best handled by can be best handled by an arrest or by a conviction. And I know that your office has several programs that you've put in place and that we work together with to try and truly understand in the community what best serves the community. And so I want to give you an opportunity to talk maybe a little bit about Veterans Court or about some of the drug programs that you have that are diversionary, because we are truly working all facets, every angle possible to deliver a safe environment to everyone.
Oh yeah. So really one of the questions is, what's the goal of the criminal justice system? And that's not an easy answer. There's definitely some answers that are easier. We want to reduce crime. We want the community to be safer. We want bad actors to be held accountable. And that's, from 30,000 feet sounds great.
Yep.
But what does that mean? Case by case could be different. We could have a victim in one case where, they're the victim of a criminal mischief. Somebody broke one of their windows, and all they want is they want to get paid so that window gets fixed. They don't want to have to take time off of work to go to court. They don't want to have to testify. They don't want to be involved. So working a case to get that outcome and represent that victim well is important to that victim. Another victim might say, no, I'm going to take off work. I'm going to be in court. I'd like to see something happen. So we have to first start at every case has a different goal, because we also want to respect where our victims are coming from and how much they're willing to undergo. Sitting up on a stand and testifying as a victim is very difficult. We want to respect what they're doing. Next we want to talk about reducing recidivism.
Yeah. And
when it comes to criminal justice cases, for a long period of time, I've always heard, lock them up, lock them up, lock them up, lock them up. And then there's another end of the spectrum that is treatment and no jail. And really, for me, I think we have to look at it individually, because there are going to be cases where the best result for the community safety is going to be jail. And that's just, that's what that case needs. There's going to be other cases where it's treatment. There's going to be cases where it's a mixture of both. So we really want to look to see what's going to help each individual case towards those ultimate goals of making our community safer, helping people live better lives, and dealing with each individual case individually. So, we cooperate with the Attorney General in their LETI program. It's Law Enforcement Treatment Initiative. That allows for individuals to seek treatment through this program before there's even a crime committed. A parent, a grandparent can call and get their child into treatment. Someone can call and get themselves into treatment. If there is a criminal incident and the police officer doesn't want to file charges, they can divert it that way. If charges are filed, we can divert it that way. We have a very successful drug court and veterans treatment court in which people commit crimes, they're convicted, and they participate in these specialty courts for anywhere from 18 months to 2 years. And it's very intensive. Yeah. And the success rate is incredibly high.
Yeah, I think that these are best practices in our field. I would be lying to anyone if I said that the only best way that a police department could serve you is by arresting someone after a crime has happened to you. I don't believe that at all. I believe that the best service that a police department can be is to plug in for our community proactively so that we can avoid those negative circumstances in our community as best as we can. But knowing that we can't always prevent every negative issue, that we can't always prevent every criminal act, that we can't always guard ourselves against tragedy or strife. Now we have to understand what best approaches are for when we do have to arrest someone or we do have to enter the criminal justice system. And service to victims is many things, as you just said. What we don't want to do is re-victimize a victim. Mm-hmm. I don't believe that delivers any sense of peace, safety, or comfort. I think what we have to do is we have to be trusted in our approach. We have to be well-versed. We have to be at the top of our games, and we have to be working collectively to bring a true level of success and a true level of peace, safety, and comfort to the community. And you're a great partner in that. You've been a terrific partner in that. You have the trust of the community. You have my trust 100%. You work incredibly well across all disciplines in the criminal justice field, and I think we're all better for it. So I want to thank you for that. Yeah. But not that I want to make this the next question a dissertation and how a bill becomes a law. But let's talk about how a case gets through the criminal justice system. So the police department makes an arrest, and now if we haven't been coordinating in that beforehand, now we're working together because your office will see those charges. So once it gets within the walls of the courthouse, or even once a charge gets on your desk, how about you just explain to all of our listeners what happens through the process of the district attorney's office, and then how we come together again as a partnership to see these things through to fruition.
Sure. So once we get a case, we'll read through the complaint, and that's the filing of the actual charges. Depending on what the case is, the majority of cases, the first time we'll take a look at it is right before the preliminary hearing. They're low-level misdemeanors. They're not very serious crimes in the spectrum of crimes. And we have an opportunity to have the officer right there. So we're reading the complaint. We're having that conversation with the officer because, what's in writing, there might be things not in there that, we would like to know. How good are our witnesses, or what issues do our witnesses have? Why did we do this? Why didn't we do that? Just to understand what's going on. And, as we work through cases, and we get anywhere, we're about 800 cases a year right now. So every time we're meeting with an officer at that first step, we're having those conversations, we're so used to all the same questions now. Yeah. We all work very well together. So, a lot of questions I have, your officers are already anticipating. I know Bob in his office is going to ask this and going to ask this, and they're prepared with that answer. So just having that initial conversation. And it really could be, things that don't necessarily matter to the charges, but they do matter to what we're going to do with the case. You have somebody who's arrested for a DUI, and on paper, they're looking very obstinate, they're very rude, that kind of situation. But then, you want to talk to the officer, what's your read on this, what's going on, and then the officer says, hey, what I didn't put in there is that person was dealing with a family tragedy, and they made some bad choices and had to deal with it, but they have no history ever. They were really dealing with something bad. In fact, they came to the police department the next day and apologized. So really things like that we want to know, because that's going to be very different than somebody who just continues to get arrested and all that. But, as you said, that communication, the first step to that case is really meet with that officer to learn as much as we can about the entirety of the investigation.
Yeah, which is why oftentimes investigation is open and active the whole way through the criminal justice system, because we don't just stop. There's always something going on, and so as charges advance, how many jury trials? Is everything a jury trial you find, or how are your cases? How are the cases that the police department is bringing? How do you seeing them generally be resolved in the community?
So I always look at, I'm a big numbers person. I always like to look at the research. About 60% of the cases result in guilty pleas.
Okay.
We have about 20% of the cases are some sort of diversion. Early diversion, diversion court, ARDs, and then we'll get a small percentage that are actually trials. It really depends upon, each individual case and where they're at. We have a case, we want to make an offer with the best possible outcome in the beginning. It might get listed for trial, it might not. We've only had a small amount of jury trials over the last year.
Yeah.
And really what I've seen is when I first took office, the very first year, even despite COVID, we only had juries for maybe five months that year. And we had the most jury trials in a long time that one year. And a lot of the policies I put in place, a lot of things that I wanted to do, I think that was a reaction to that. And then just through time, we've kind of seen that slow down, and people have recognized where we're trying to go with cases. And
yeah. Well, listen. One of the things that I wanted to make sure that I hit on in our episode together was the fact of how you plug in for officer wellness. And so I want everyone to know that the district attorney's office is completely invested in officer wellness in Indiana County, and you've been a great partner in allowing us to bring not only trainings and conversations that can keep officers well, but you've helped us gain also some community support for some of the things that we do in the officer wellness realm, and that culminates every year or for the past 2 years at least, in an opportunity for police officers from Indiana County to get together, and you're an integral partner in that with our families, and so I appreciate that very much. And the tragedy that we see, the tragedy that happens in the community, it has a wearing effect on all of us, on your staff, on my staff, on officers around the county. So I appreciate you plugging in for us in that regard. It's extremely important.
It's incredibly important, and I appreciate the kind words. I mean, I always talk about in our office, we enjoy working with law enforcement. You get to work with a lot of great people. Once we see it, it's not on scene. We're certainly dealing with some serious cases, so I don't want to minimize what my staff is dealing with. But, when you're a police officer, you're dealing with those criminal cases. You're going to a homicide scene, a stabbing scene, but you are also going to drug overdoses. Mm-hmm. You are also going to suicides. You are also going to a lot of events that are not criminal justice related, and you're bouncing from these scenes. You're handling them in a professional manner. And it's very important because, that's tough to carry as a human being. Yeah. And it's not just something where it's 5 o'clock, you clock out and, hey, that baby that you saw today that died on the floor, you're just going to put that out of your mind and go home. That's
impossible.
Very tough. And just like any other field, there's a lot of people that have questions or criticisms about the field, and I think people have the right to think and question what we do. I certainly never mind answering questions, but it's always tough when you're handling a lot of those serious cases, and then you get a question that a person that really just doesn't understand it. Yeah. They kind of put you on the rocks with it.
Yeah, it can be devaluing, that's for sure.
Yeah.
None of us are perfect people, but I don't know any police officer, any member of district attorney's office that wants to get anything wrong. And we, no. It's just a matter of us, being human and doing right for each other and doing right for everyone that we serve. I think that's the best that anybody could hope for, is to have compassionate, highly skilled folks with integrity advocating on their behalf, and being willing to step into those spaces where danger exists. And I think that in Indiana County we do that well across the board, and it's a great thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the best parts about our law enforcement community in the county is, if somebody truly has a question, not just somebody that wants to sit at home and stir the pot on social media, but somebody truly has a question, I can't think of anybody in our county that wouldn't want to sit down and say, sure, that's a good question. Let me explain what our perspective is, why we did that or why we can't do that. Or so really one of the nice things are for the people who truly have that question and want to understand.
Yep.
I think every agency is more than willing to sit down and have that conversation.
Yep. We have a good thing here in Indiana County. Well, listen, let's take a break and we'll come back and we'll wrap things up with a little fun here at the end of the episode. So stay tuned, everyone.
Ready to make a difference? The Indiana Borough Police Department is looking for dedicated individuals who are community-oriented and ready to serve. Join a team that values peace, safety, and comfort. Looking for a new career and want to give back? Be more than a badge and protector. Be a part of Indiana Borough's future.
All right, everybody, welcome back. So this is Trey Manzi. This is the point in the podcast episode where I want to give us both an opportunity to give a shameless plug. And by shameless plug, I mean, there's so many different folks in our community, folks in our lives who have delivered us positive impact. I just want to use this as an opportunity to allow you and allow me to maybe shout someone out, appreciation. It could be a business, it could be a family member, it could be a coworker, it could be a group of people, whatever you feel. Do you have a shameless plug that you'd like to give today?
I do, but I'm going to let you go first. I'm going to follow your lead.
All right. Well, we've talked a lot about victims and serving victims of crime, and so clearly that's our job. So I think my shout out today is going to be for the Alice Paul House. The friends at the Alice Paul House are incredible people who are legitimately committed and invested to helping all crime victims and certainly those who have been victimized by domestic violence. So appreciate everything that the Alice Paul House does for the Indiana Borough Police Department and the Indiana County community, and that's my shameless plug for today.
All right. Well, since you've had the chance to do a few of these, and you
Right.
get to, I'm going to have a couple here.
Okay.
My first shameless plug is your chief of Indiana Borough Police. I'm going to anybody that has any questions about Justin and what he does for the borough, I'm going to tell you that Indiana Borough has what I believe to be one of the best police chiefs in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, period.
Well, thank you.
Period. Here's a person that when he became chief, moved into the borough, not that he was required to, but at his own cost moved into the borough because he felt it was important that the chief be here. So takes money out of his own pocket because he thinks it's the right thing to do. And he does what's right because it's right, not because anybody's watching. So you have one of the best police chiefs in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, period. Two, I'm going to thank all the police officers. I get to sit behind a desk. I get to sit in a courtroom. I'm in a very safe situation. And the police officers we have, the men and women of law enforcement in our county that, they kiss their families goodbye and they go to do what they do is absolutely incredible. And just like any other field, unless you're in the field, you really don't get to see everything. Where they truly do put their lives in danger to stand between us and the bad guy. It's amazing, and it happens all the time. We are so fortunate to have the law enforcement that we have. And in that same realm, going back to officer wellness, is all of our families, all of the officers' families, all the families, they have holidays without their husband or wife. They, have different things that they plan at different times than we do because their husband, their wife, their son, their daughter have to go to work on a holiday. So, everything they do and the stress they deal with for all our safety is just phenomenal. I'm going to say for my family, supporting what I do, for my staff, I can't do what I do without my staff and their families. It really, that support system to kind of say, hey, I don't know all the details, but when I get a call at 10 o'clock at night and I got to leave, I know my wife and my kids, I'm in their thoughts and I know they have my back and they know they're going to deal with whatever they need to deal with at home because I got to run in. And I could not end this without giving a shout out to my parents. Bob and Shirley are going to be sitting at home. They're going to be on their iPad watching this. So a shout out to them.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for those kind words. And okay, so now to the last part of what might be the most daunting part of our conversation. We're going to spin a wheel and we're each going to get a chance to answer a question, okay?
All right.
All right, so here's the wheel. What I would like you to do is spin it, and whatever question it lands on, we're going to give you an opportunity to answer.
I answer it or I ask you?
No, you answer.
Oh, okay. All right. That's a pretty fancy wheel.
Oh, there you go. That's a good one. Go ahead and read it out loud.
All right. Do you have a mentor?
Do you have a mentor?
I'm going to say I don't have a single mentor
Okay.
in my career. I've been very fortunate at different stages in my career to have different professionals, and I'll go outside of family and friends for this one. When I went to IUP, Dr. Ray Green, who was a professor in psychology here, helped me out. I got to do research with him. I went to Boston and presented psychological research, Colorado and presented it at national conferences. Got published doing psychological research. I mean, he was a mentor for that stage. When I came back to IUP to get a master's degree, Dr. Alita Merlo was one of my mentor academically.
Yeah.
I worked at Adelphi Village here locally, and Doug Clark and Amy Overly, who I worked with in the programs, mentors that friends of mine that I still talk to today. When I went to law school, and I was working out east and going to law school, Ed Janskovich, who was a fellow law school mate of mine, a police officer in New Jersey, was just a great sounding board about keeping what's important, and getting through that law school experience. Having prosecutors in the Delaware County and Bucks County DA's office helped me along. When my family moved back to town, I went to work at Holsinger Clark Armstrong, and had great mentors in the Clark family, with Ed Clark and now Judge Mike Clark and Sam Clark and Jen, who was there, and Ryan and Katie, other attorneys that were there were great to work with. So I've been very fortunate just to have great mentors along the way. And then once I got to be in the district attorney's office, looking for those folks with that experience that I lean on. I mean, Chief Shaw, you're one of them who've really helped me along the way. Other DAs around the state that have really helped me along the way. So, I don't really have one, but I have a lot that I remember and a lot of folks that to this day I feel like I could call on and bounce some ideas off of.
Yeah, well, we're all a team, and I think that embodies a team approach. We're made up of lots of moving parts, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So okay, well, I'm gonna give myself a spin here. Now I've answered a few of these questions before, so we'll see. Let's see. It landed on one that I've already answered. So I'm going to say this: what are you grateful for? What are you grateful for is one of the questions on the wheel. So along your line of what am I grateful for? I want to use this opportunity to talk about how grateful I am for my family, because being chief of police, being a police officer at any rank is a 24/7, 365 responsibility. There is no time to shut things off, to tune out some of the things that we experience. And so it requires a great deal of patience and love and support to my family. And I'm blessed to have a wonderful and beautiful wife, Krista, and 3 wonderful children, Brinley, Austin, and Adley, who not only keep me grounded, but who also prop me up, and who support me no matter what the day is, whether it's great or whether it's terrible, whether I'm able to be the best that I can be, or whether I'm struggling to achieve something at that moment. They are always there, and so I'm grateful. I'm grateful for all of you, and I appreciate it, and I love you all. So the podcast is all about how we're safer together, and it is clear we are all safer with District Attorney Manzi at the helm of the DA's office, and your partnership is vital to everything that we do at the police department, and your friendship is important to me, and I hold you in every bit as high esteem as you would hold me or could possibly hold me, and I just appreciate everything that you do. And so thank you for joining me today.
Thank you
All
for giving me the time.
Yeah. So, okay, everybody. Well, this is Justin Shaw and District Attorney Robert Manzi, and another episode of talking through how we all truly are safer together.